Okay, it's Rassie Erasmus here. I guess this video we're going to put together, or this footage, I think it's two or threefold. I think first of all, there's been a lot said in media and social media about officiating and public giving out to each other between myself, Warren Gatland, and the Springboks and the Lions and so on. And I think people that do know me know that that's not normally the way it happens when we involved in a test match. So first of all, maybe to clarify a few things, and I want to get into detail here, especially for Joe and Joel, and also Nick Berry, who refereed the game with his two assistants, Ben O'Keefe and obviously Matthew, and then Maurice Jonker, the TMO box. So when we had our initial call last week, we had a clear request as director of rugby. I said, no, we don't feel in South Africa we need the negativity currently, which was brought right from the first match. Simple things like, I can take it step by step. For example, myself being a water carrier. Now, there's a set of rules that say the only guy who can't be a water carrier is the head coach, which Jacques Nienaber is currently, and I'm not the head coach. So also another technical point on that is that there was always only two water carriers. World Rugby actually allowed this year that there can be three water carriers. So you actually have the option to have only one water carrier if you want to, or two water carriers, or three. So, it's obviously Warren wanted to make a big thing of me carrying water. Which I understand, and it's games, and Warren's a good guy. I've always enjoyed him. I always understood him as a pure rugby guy, and I will always see him as a pure rugby guy. And that was just maybe a little bit of mind games, and that's fine. But the fact is, you can have three water carriers. Where there was always just two in the past. It's the first time ever that you can have three, and we always have one carrying the forwards water and one carrying the backs water. So we just thought having myself there, who is part of the coaching team, but as director of rugby, who's not the head coach, there's nothing preventing me from carrying water. So there was a little bit of banter from his side, and we took that in our stride. And that's fine. We laugh at those things, and it's funny, and he's got comments, and you take it as it is. But then, I think where the things got really, for us, a bit cluttered and frustrating was when the Lions started moaning about, officiating on the field. Where, for example, when Faf in the SAA game got a yellow card, and openly, the Lions criticized that and said they wanted clarity from World Rugby, where, should it have been a red card, and, was it not direct head contact? While we had in the same game lots of clips where the Lions, just like us, make mistakes. They do make mistakes, and then a simple reply to him openly, or the Lions, as a matter of fact, Warren openly said, but it should have been a red card, or he wants clarity from World Rugby. So obviously then, he talks to the media, and according to me, the protocol is you don't talk through the media, you talk through World Rugby. So again, it's a little bit of a grey area, but obviously then we just said, but let's just show one or two. If you want to go in such depth into Faf's tackle, is it a red or a yellow card? Surely then we can show a few tackles where, the Lions made head contact, which Owen Farrell was one, and there was a couple, but we just put two on Twitter. And I think people must understand that social media is also media now. So, again, we saw it as banter, before a big test match, they put some pressure on, we put some pressure on. I guess where we got a little bit worried was when, we got the narrative that we are this dirty team, and with all our provincial teams playing them, we got the message from them that all the chat was that the South Africans just want to play physical, and that's why they highlighted the Faf thing. And then eventually, when the TMO for the first test match was withdrawn, and Maurice Jonker was appointed, I mean, the Lions made such a fuss about it. Again, through the media, where we thought that's not the correct channels to do that. So we had our meetings with yourself, Joel, and Joe, and discussed that and said, listen, we really would like this to be a test match series that's positive. We see it as a 3-week series where, it must be just positive, and the rugby must win. And we don't want this negativity in South Africa, which we currently have with COVID and a lot of other problems that we have. And so we had a nice meeting with Nick Berry before the first match. And we basically had a 20-minute meeting where we agreed on 3 or 4 or 5 things. And obviously the Lions had a meeting with him, and it was obvious things that he said we can and we can't do, and things that we cleared with them. So we were, and then we said, obviously, then we want, after the game, we would like some clarity on the stuff that, we want to make sure that, we can correct the things, what we do wrong, and also obviously keep doing the things that we do right. So, he was appointed as official. We went to the match. Everything was fine. The match started, and one of the things that we did highlight beforehand is that, listen here, there is 4 countries that forms the alliance, and we just asked him specifically, just give us as much respect on the field as South Africans who might not have played for almost 2 years, but because there are 4 countries and have 4 captains, in Alwyn Jones and Mr. Hawke, and there's so many leaders and captains in their team. We only have 2, Andre Pollard, the vice captain, and Siya Kolisi, the captain. And we said, please, can the game be played and only those 2 guys talk to you, and the same on their side, that only Alwyn Jones and whoever is their vice captain have the discussions during the game, and that was communicated to us that it will happen that way. Now, and then obviously we said we won't talk about stuff in the media. But now already the previous week, Warren spoke about Marius Jonker, he spoke about Faf's red card and yellow card, and there's a lot of things said where we just kept quiet. I think if you go and look in the build-up to the first test match, we just kept quiet. So the test match happened, and unfortunately, in our opinion, and again, I can be pointed out wrongly or saying things in the wrong way, and I'm sure Lion supporters won't agree, and I'm sure some South African supporters won't agree. But understanding where all of this come from, I think, might give some people clarity and might understand how important rugby is for South Africans, and especially where we currently are in South Africa and how desperately we want to get things right. Not just on the scoreboard. I mean, on the scoreboard, if you lose, you lose. We take it, and we will never give any official the blame for losing or winning a match. The frustration came in is when we actually did lose the match. And we went through our review, worked through Saturday night, worked through Sunday, and then Sunday evening tried to set up a call with Nick Berry, just a normal call, and we wanted to discuss things because we do our team selection on a Sunday night, and on a Monday morning we announce our team. So before we could give feedback back to our players, we wanted to get some clarity on specific things that happened in the game that did not necessarily make sense to us. We weren't sure if we were right, and we needed him to take us through that. We gave him a call, and he said he was still asleep. It was 5 o'clock in the afternoon. It was a Sunday, so we understood that. We waited till he woke up, and when he woke up, we asked him. He said yes, no problem. We could send through the clips to him. We transferred or air-bridged the clips to him, and we wanted to discuss it. I spoke to him on the phone and said to him that none of this will get into the media. We will not discuss this in the media. This is purely for team selection and to explain to players, we only have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Fridays where we train and get ready for the next test match. So we wanted to get clarity on things that didn't happen the way it happened, like he said it would, and what mistakes can we correct. And then obviously that will influence team selection. And I made it really clear to him that it's a quite important call. And so I forwarded him the clips, and then he just came back and said, no, he can't talk to me anymore. He can only talk to me on Monday, and after he's reviewed the game with Joel Jutz, which is the World Rugby referee manager. which was weird for me because before that he was keen to chat through it. Then I phoned Joel Jutz on Sunday night, and obviously, not obviously, he didn't answer, but then there was a French, I guess, voice call on the other side saying that he's not available, and obviously I couldn't speak French, and I just left it there. So the frustration then boiled over as players came in and started asking questions, and it's now Monday, and we haven't had feedback, and obviously there's a lot of South African supporters that wants to know what's going on and what this team selection looked like and what happened here and why is that not a try and why is this a red card and why is this a yellow card. So people started asking questions, and again, not having any answers, and then receiving on a Tuesday morning, today, receiving feedback on a Tuesday morning where you basically have one training session on a Tuesday, and then tomorrow's Wednesday is our next training session, and then we're off on Thursday, and then we have a captain's practice on Friday. So to get feedback on a Tuesday before a test match on things that you actually can't change now anymore, and your team is already selected, and because World Rugby's got this protocol, which can be my fault, I'm not sure. We've never worked on this protocol. I saw in the email which Joel sent to me is that that's the way they operated in the Six Nations. Now, we didn't play in the Six Nations, so we didn't know you can only get feedback on a Tuesday, which really doesn't make sense for me, but we accept it and we'll follow it now. But I guess the thing I want to try and get through, and I know it's a long intro, but you have to have the background to understand why there's things said on Twitter and why I do reply on some tweets and why I do think when somebody posts something on Twitter which is correct, I will retweet it. Because the previous week, there was no bones make about it when Warren Gatland said stuff in the media when we were dead quiet. And we definitely felt the way things unfolded on the field didn't benefit us by staying quiet. And that's why I would probably like Joe, Nick, Ben, Matthew, Marius Jonker, Supersport maybe, if you guys get this eventually. I'm not sure who this is going to. And I myself, in my position of Director of Rugby, if this causes that I'm not allowed to be a water carrier, that's fine. I'll step away from the water carrier. If this means that we're going to get a fine, I'll step away from the team management team. If this means that the Springboks will be in trouble, I will say I did this in isolation. It's me personally who did this. This is not SA Rugby. This is not the Springboks, because I believe in fairness and I believe in a system, and I believe in two teams must have equal chance of competing in a match. Not saying that the referee was a cheat at all, saying that we just wanted clarity on a Sunday night, and which we now got on a Tuesday. And to be honest, we're not very, or I personally, are not very convinced with the clarity that we got from Nick Berry in this match. Now, again, I had previous encounters previously where I made mistakes, saying things in public about the referees, and that normally comes back to bite you. But in this instance, I believe the Lions only comes around every 12 years, and I think it should be fair that I'll step away from this last two test matches, but let the Springboks and the Lions have an equal chance on the field when it comes to laws, respect, the way players get treated, what is said in a pre-match coaches meeting with the referees, how they give feedback post that, and how things get said in the media. So that long intro, I probably want to try and get into a few clips. And obviously I'm not saying all of these are right, and I'm pretty sure, and I'm sure people will go and say, let's go and look at all the mistakes the Springboks made. And that would be wonderful. If somebody can make a video of all the big mistakes the Springboks made, foul play or offsides or whatever they can do, it will be great, because then rugby is a bit in trouble. Because if we make all these mistakes on the one side, and on the other side the same mistakes is unpunished, then, rugby isn't really a fair game because it should be, there's rules and it should apply, and you should try and play within the rules, and both teams should be penalized or sanctioned or credited for if they play well or not. So, yeah, starting with that, I'm going to play through these clips here, and unfortunately, there's quite a lot, and that's why I said this might be a 40-minute video. And it might only be shown to you, Joe and Nick and Ben and Matthew and Marius, or this might, if they take me off the thing, I might, Supersport, you guys might use it and understand why there's sometimes grey areas in the game. So, yeah, let's go for it. The first one is, it's just, the answer we got is, it's just a late tackle on Faf, and it was a penalty, and the answer, we'll accept it. I'm basically going to play it. Faf carries the ball and Curry shoulder charges him late, and no arms in the tackle, and we believe it might be a yellow card, but it was said, it's just a penalty, and we accept that. And the question is just, if we shoulder charge like that, will it always just be a penalty if you don't use your arm? But we take that one and say, okay, you can actually tackle a guy like that late without arms after he's kicked the ball. It will not be a yellow card. So we accept that. So we go to clip number 2. Just going to play a bit. This is where two players is actually Curry coming from the side and cleaning out Makazoloma Pimpi, clearly not through the gate. And yeah, we got the incentive or the directive from World Rugby that side entry and going on the lower limbs of a player is the most dangerous thing, which there currently is. So for us, this is clear side entry, and it's going on the lower limbs of a player. So I know the explanation was that he said, there was already, there's no danger in it, and he was playing advantage already for a penalty for us. So again, if you can enter like that from the side, it will be quite difficult to referee it, because if everybody enters like that and it's doable, then the game is going to be really messy. But let's accept that one as well. I think you'll catch the drift a little bit later now. Here is a very interesting one. It's the one where the big debate one, where Marius Jonker eventually had to decide, did Cheslin Colby knock the ball, or did and then after that was Makazoloma Pimpi pulled back, and then did Damien Dalenda ground the ball or not? So being a water carrier, being on the field, this is the first part where I really started experiencing that what the one guy say and what the other guy say to the referees is totally different. So when Sia spoke to the referee and when Alwyn spoke to the referee, I just felt the reactions on how they treated both those players was totally... there was a vast difference between who he was taking serious and who he wasn't taking serious. And I might just play this for you and talk you through it. So yeah, you can clearly see Makazola being held back. Now, whatever you say, that's foul play. You can never hold a player back, so that's foul play. So foul play overrules anything else, so there can be a knock-on beforehand. The explanation which Nick gave me is that foul play must be dangerous to overrule something else. Now, I've looked through the law book. I can't find the place where it says foul play must be dangerous to overrule a previous mistake like a knock-on. So Mapimpi runs through here, he gets held back, everybody clears, Damien scores a try, which eventually is not a try. Firstly, I would like you to listen to the way Alwyn Jones talks to Nick Berry and to Ben O'Keefe and tell them that, listen here, you think Cheslin knocked the ball on, and they listen to him, and it's fair. And Sia's trying to tell them that Makazolo was pulled back, which is foul play. And me being close to that, obviously I wanted Sia to tell the ref that it's foul play, because foul play overrules anything else. Now you'll clearly see here, there Alwyn Jones refers and then Sia refers to holding back. And they just tell Sia to go away, and Alwyn just stays there, and Sia had to walk away, and now obviously and again Alwyn Jones points out that he wants to check for the knock-on, which was a knock-on, rightly so. And they show this tackle, they show the whole replay. I'm not going to bore you with that, but here's clearly the foul play part where Mapimpi now gets drawn back. So irrelevant, in my opinion, if Cheslin did knock the ball on or not. That should be, in my opinion, a penalty right in front of the poles. So I might be wrong, and there might be a new law that came out somewhere where they said, foul play must be dangerous to overrule anything else. Here you can see Cheslin did knock on the ball, and Morris made the right call. So yes, fine, Cheslin knocked on the ball, but post this, there was foul play when Mapimpi was pulled back. So that didn't go our way, and I thought the way they listened to Sia compared to the way they listened to Alwyn was definitely not with the same respect that both players should have. The point actually on this one, which is probably the most important, is actually obviously here they show again, as I say, that Cheslin did knock it on. But the point is where Mapimpi was pulled back, and if you now look at the score is 17-19 for the Lions in the 71st minute of the game. So a penalty right in front of the poles where Makazolo was pulled back obviously puts us in the lead, and if I'm wrong that foul play must be dangerous to overrule, then I am wrong and I apologize. But according to me, foul play should be overruling anything else, penalty to us, and we should be up then on the scoreboard, which didn't happen. But again, I felt the respect shown to Sia compared to Alwyn was just two different levels. Enough said about that. Right. Here's now just examples, and for me this is not big issues, but it definitely shows the difference in attitude towards the Springboks, I feel, and the Lions. Not saying cheating, I'm saying having the narrative being imprinted that we are more into foul play and to dangerous and reckless play than the Lions. But when you actually compare the different things, tackling and so on, you'll see there's not a hell of a difference. So the first one here is actually just a clip where Evan Etzebeth first tackles a guy, and then he slides down into Frank Mostert, and he actually then get penalized for a yellow card. Not for a yellow card, for a penalty. So that's a penalty.
Yeah, it's high.
And then Morris called it high, and they come back for the penalty. Here, Bongi goes in for a tackle, and it's a safety belt tackle, like we all call it. It's around the shoulder, arms around there, and we accept it. That's the way he's going to referee the game. It's quite early, and he sets the standard there, and we accept it. The problem, however, is when you look at the following.
That's what the penalty is for on halfway.
If you now compare this tackle here, where Damien Darlander carries the ball, and he carries it in here, both, and you can look from any other angles, both number 21 and the center, both have seatbelt tackles around Damien Darlander's shoulders / neck. Now the explanation here is that Damien Darlander had a level change here. Now again, the same happened with the two tackles where the South African players tackled. There was also a level change, but this was not penalized, and according to Nick, there's no force in these tackles, so that's the reason why that was not penalized. It's difficult to understand because what we've experienced so far during this year, if you tackle around the shoulder and neck area and you do a safety belt tackle, it's a penalty, but that wasn't refereed when they tackled us like that. So we tried to highlight that for you so you can see that. That was obviously also something we wanted some clarity on, which we didn't. Here is obviously the big debate, which is mind-baffling. If you look at the score, 19-17 again, the 63rd minute of the game, Willie catches a ball, Hamish Watson gets him. I don't think anybody can argue that he tips him beyond the 90, and Willie lands on his shoulder / back and could have landed on his neck. So I'm not saying this should be a red card, but I can see nothing less than a yellow card here. I haven't seen one incident like this in the last 5 years where a player has got away with less than a yellow card here. So again, if you look at the reaction here, and I'm again going to talk about the respect the referee shows towards the South African players compared to the Lions players, which we actually prior to the game discussed with the referee and said to him, just give both teams the same amount of respect. You can see all of our players appealing and immediately recognizing that this is a dangerous tackle. They all show that. Nick sees it, he gives advantage for that, and then he just calmly says, there was a bit of a leg lift, he says, a bit of a leg lift. Now, again, now we'll play it back, and we refer it back to the TMO, to Marius Jonker, which is the person that Warren Gatland has openly now put so much pressure on during the week, because he is now the TMO, which again we had no control over. Marius had no control over, but obviously that's the way Warren put through the media pressure on Marius on that, because knowing Marius and knowing the laws, that should definitely be a yellow card. Again, on minute 63, it means that in the next 17 minutes they will probably only play 6 or 7 minutes with 15 men on the field, which is the way the law should be refereed. Now again, you hear the wording, it's just a bit of a leg lift, Nick calls it. Now they talk through it. Willie stays down injured, like all the players in the world do after they've received a spear tackle, and then eventually he just gives a penalty. So it just stays a penalty, and I think the whole world knows by now that should be a yellow card. Now, again, you see it slow motion, he lifts him beyond the horizontal and he drives him into the ground. So yes, that's a weird one, especially on minute 63. But I'm going to move past that. I guess this is the one where people probably won't disagree with me on that. So we'll go to the next one. Yeah, this one, again, this one I can accept that it's tough for the referee to see, but it's again, you're lifting a player's leg and driving him into the ground. I'm pretty sure if somebody sees this in slow motion, and maybe Marius Jonker didn't see it, and maybe the referee didn't see it, he's just making sure we feel it's a similar action, but he feels there's not enough force for this to be a penalty. So if you look at Mapimpi here, Duan van der Merwe is coming from outside. Obviously the law states when there's a player bound over a tackled player, there's already an offside line. So Duan van der Merwe can't come in from that side. That's the first offence. And then the second offence, they're picking up both legs of Mapimpi and driving him into the ground. Now again, if that's allowed and you can do it, by all means, just tell us. We would have loved to hear that on Sunday night. Then we could have practiced that on Monday morning or on Tuesday morning, and not only getting the results here. But according to me, this is very dangerous. You'll see Duan will now go, and there they pick him up and is horizontal, and he gets driven into the ground. I don't think actually he can be in a worse position when it comes to that. But again, the feedback is that it's not that bad according to Nick. This one is again, and this was something that I really wanted to clear with him on Sunday evening, just to get understanding. And I guess this is really a question of how do you actually get this wrong? How do you actually decide I'm going to give the one team 8 seconds advantage, and I give the other team 20 plus seconds advantage for a penalty? It's just something where I wonder if this is not a mindset.
Advantage. Stay there. You got penalty advantage there, 9. Advantage over. Yeah, I called it.
You can see how quickly it is. How many seconds was that? I think it's something like 8 seconds. Now, just after this one, they get advantage.
With Duan van der Merwe, then Tom Curry.
Yeah, playing advantage.
This time it's the Springboks' turn to concede a penalty at the breakdown. Strong work from Conan. Price. Across the face from Bigger for Curry. And Bigger floats a beautiful pass away to Watson.
We'll go back, guys.
And they'll come all the way back for the penalty. It was just inside the Lions' half.
The question is, and again, what we wanted to ask him on Sunday is just, how do you get that wrong? How do you give the one team 8 seconds and there's not even material or territorial advantage and obviously not time advantage? And then you give the other one territorial and time advantage more than the other team. It's just something that's very tough to understand how he can do that. But again, we couldn't get the answer, and he admitted afterwards. Joel, you guys obviously also saw that, but it's a difficult one to explain. How do you make a mistake like that? Yeah, the next one is actually is for players not rolling away. Now again, they said they're going to have a very low tolerance on players not rolling away. And if I can play this one back a little bit for you, you can see the tackle gets made there by, I think it's Kwagga, and Kwagga gets trapped in, and you can actually see how Laws with his left leg holds in Kwagga, and they get the penalty. And we understand it, it's very sharp, Laws is sharp at it. Nick's got a nice view. He can see Kwagga is trying to get out, but Courtney Laws holds him in with his leg, but he gives the penalty against us. So all good, well done by Courtney, and the 9 really milks it well, and they get the advantage there. Now this one here, Damien Dalenda carries the ball, he gets tackled. He wants to place the ball. Now the referee says he's placing the ball into their man, and it's not a penalty. Again, I'm not sure what the time is here, but I know it was quite a critical time for us to get points on the board. You can see, and there he goes away, and the reason he's not penalised is because we are pushing the ball into him. Damien is just trying to get the ball out. We want to play.
No, you're trying to place it into him. Yeah, that's fine. No, you're trying to place it into him. Use it, 9.
The previous one was Courtney Laws holding our guy in. He gets penalised. Here, Damien Dalenda does exactly the right thing, and again, they don't get penalised. So again, the explanation is that he actually places the ball into him. So that was a tough one to understand. These two guys again, after this tackle on Cheslin Colby, I mean, he said no tolerance, low tolerance. You know, they're going to penalise guys who doesn't roll away. Here, two guys tackled Cheslin Colby. You've just seen how they've penalised Kwagga for not rolling away. Here, the two guys clearly lies on our side. You can see none of them are rolling away. You can maybe say that we are keeping him in with his 1 foot here, Bigger in with his 1 foot, but I mean, then Courtney Laws was just as obvious. And now you can see how Faf struggles to get the ball out, and not that 10, not the 9, none of them are rolling away. It's inside their 22, and the referee just says plays on. Okay, so that's frustrating. And again, if you look at the offsides line, you can see that they clearly offsides, but the reason for that is because Faf struggles to get the ball out. So I guess Alwyn and Conan, they were actually caught off guard because the ball came out so slowly because of Bigger and what's his name, Price not rolling away. Obviously, none of that was penalised, and there was no consistency on that. Yeah, exactly the same. Last play of the match, we need 5 points. We do the kick-off. Damien Willemse wins the ball. Now 13 in the 22. If you think of the previous ones, we penalised us for not rolling away. I mean, there's no attempt. We're for 13 there. He's lying on our side. It's the last play of the match. We are desperate. He is now fully lying outside. The ball comes out, and he still didn't roll away. So again, consistency is definitely out the window, and I think his reason was the ball is immediately available. But he definitely didn't roll away, and I think previously our guys also shouldn't have been penalised if that was the standard he was setting in the beginning, with no tolerance or very low tolerance for players not rolling away. Here's a few sealing off clips which I think Nick agreed that it's penalties, and I think if you at the end go and count the places where Nick agreed, and even those where he didn't agree, which we think he was wrong, and you go and count those penalties or kickable penalties, or then I think I think the score might have been very different. Here, for example, I think he agreed. He said that Courtney Laws does seal off, and it's clear and obvious, but obviously it wasn't penalised. There he goes, and he just seals off and dives over, which Nick agreed. He said it should be a penalty. Here, Willie kicks up and under. They catch it, and now, as the law states, when there is a player over the ball, there's immediately offside lines. That actually changed to when England played Italy, I think in 2017, when Italy didn't form any rucks, and then they ran around and they spoiled the English ball, and Eddie Jones made a hell of a fuss about it, and then the law was actually changed that the interpretation was the moment there's a player bound over a ball on the ground, that there's offside lines. So Curry here, obviously Franco Moster forms the ruck, he's over the guy, and he actually cleans him from outside, on his lower limbs again. So there he cleans him from the side, from outside. So again, his answer is that's a nothing. That's not a tackle. That's a nothing. But I mean, there is not something like that's a nothing. So we feel the moment Franco Mostert actually made contact and formed the offside line, Curry had no rights to go in there and that side entry. We're not going to even talk about the kickable penalties that might have been. Oh, this one here, I thought it's well done by Mario Itoje, and we just wanted to make sure if he could actually play the 9 and ruck, and Nick gave us a really good answer and say he was correct. The interesting thing here is that they actually said that Ox Nietzsche, our number 1, has no rights to take. It should be a penalty against Ox Nietzsche because he's taking out the number 5, Alwyn Jones. Now, according to me, that's a tackle, and the moment one of our players join, it's maul. Now, apparently, Ox Nietzsche is not allowed to take Alwyn Jones out here, so I'm not sure what law that is. And so that was Nick's answer. Nick's answer is that he's not allowed to take that 5 out there. So you can see there Ox comes and he takes the 5 out. So I'm not sure what Ox should have done. Should he just have left and let them keep him up? Or should he have tried and rip the ball? And I'm not sure which law Nick was referring to there, but that would be nice to get some clarity on that one. Again, here it's a breakdown. We've got a tackler. Tyke Furlong is totally from the side. Now, I know Nick's reason here was it's irrelevant because he was playing advantage already. But you can't, because you're playing advantage already, ignore other mistakes your team is making while having advantage. So, in other words, I'm trying to say if we've got penalty advantage, I can't all of a sudden, because I have penalty advantage, start cleaning from the side of rucks. So he said it's irrelevant. He was coming from the side and they had penalty advantage already. So, say this clean out was successful and they played on here, just because they lost the ball there. You would have allowed them to play on if they didn't lose the ball. So I think it's crazy to say it's irrelevant, because if he cleaned out way beyond the ball, which he did there on Damien Dalenda, and they won that ball, it wouldn't have been irrelevant. So, he said the penalty was already given to them, but surely you can't then do something illegal just because you have a penalty advantage. Here's an example of where we probably saw there's going to be a tough day at the breakdown when we had this line break and it's minute 21 and Sia has the line break and we have totally overlap on the left hand side. It's actually a walking try for us, for Mapimpi at the left. Now Itoje leans over the ruck. He in my opinion, he's not carrying his body weight, but I'm sure you'll say he is carrying his body weight. So let's say fair enough, he's carrying his body weight. And now Faf is on his feet, trying to play the ball, and Itoje is pushing the ball to the ground. Sia is not touching the ball at all. We managed to get the penalty against us, which in my opinion is almost a cynical foul, pushing the ball to the ground there when we have an overlap on the left-hand side. And the worst is then after that, Itoje actually goes to you and say, there's a lot of scuffles off the ball without them causing anything. Just again, you letting him tell you, and you say, yes, I hear you, I know. So I think that's where the players realize that this is probably going to be the way we will be respected in this game. These are difficult calls, these next couple of ones, and I can understand that he sometimes gets them wrong. And his explanations, it's not too great, but for example, here Kwaga gets the ball. We feel he's got a clear pull on the ball, he's lifting the ball. But he actually says, I think he says no clear lift on the ball. He says Kwaga didn't lift the ball clearly. According to me, he couldn't lift it more clearly, as you can see the circle, as we circled the ball there, and we weren't rewarded for that. So here is Trevor Nyakane, the next one, Alvin Jones is carrying, Trevor's got his hands on the ball, he's trying to lift the ball, and he's got the ball in the air. Okay, a ruck might be formed, and it's a penalty against Trevor. So, again, I say you can get these easily wrong, and you can dissect it. And I know this is the area where you say, now you're nitpicking, but I just think if you can apply the law the same right through the game, that would be great. So, let's say that was a penalty against Trevor Nyakane. Then this one is interesting. Eben's got the ball there. He's stealing it. He's getting no reward currently for it, and he coaches him off the ball. So Eben did leave the ball and he doesn't get penalized. So that's now the level of how they do it. Now we are now contesting for the ball a few times. Again, at this ruck, actually they're going to penalize us for contesting the ball. But the first thing here, which is crazy and which Nick already agreed on, Damien Delende was penalized for being offsides here. Now, he agreed and he said that Damien wasn't offsides and it was a bad call. So again, I'm just asking if the ARs is aligned and they don't see a clear and obvious offside, why would they say offside? So, if it isn't clear and obvious, then you don't call offside. If it's clear and obvious, you call offside. And this is not close to clear and obvious. So, this is definitely something that's bothering us. Why would the ARs call that? Do they think they saw the guy being offsides? It would be great to understand how they called that offside. Again, this one, we thought they were offsides. I think Nick gave us a good explanation and said, but 7 is actually onside. For me, it doesn't really look 100% onside, but I mean, again, we don't want to nitpick and show every single mistake they made. So let's give this one to them and say, okay, 7 and 13 was never onside, but they didn't make the tackle, and number 2 made the tackle there, and he's got at least 1 foot close to the offside line. So maybe that's how he saw that he was not offsides. But if you compare that, for example, with Damien in the previous clip where he was clearly onside, it's weird that this one wasn't called offside, but we accept his explanation for that because the guy, number 2, makes the tackle eventually. This one is very frustrating because we were so much warned prior to the game that anybody in front of the kicker must immediately freeze. Doesn't matter if he's a meter in front or 10 meters in front, nobody can be in front of the kicker. here you can obviously see, and we actually think it's a little bit silly the way they referee the specific part of the game now, where they say, if the guy kicks the ball from the back, that everybody must stand still. But that's the law. They are now refereeing that way, and they made no bones about it that if a guy's in front of the ball, he must freeze until somebody puts him on side. And here you can see the guy is obviously more than a meter offside, and nothing happens there. Again, that's another 3 points in front of the poles, but that wasn't penalised. Yeah, here's the three that was probably, again, I will give it to Nick. This is a difficult part of the game to referee. So that's when a tackled player's knee touches the ground. Then the player who's tackling him must immediately release, and he can't rip the ball out, which he does really well in this one here, which he penalises actually Hawk and Daly, because they are ripping the ball out of Andre, but Andre's knee's already touching the ground. A little bit later, he does exactly the same with Kwagga, where Kwagga steals the ball while the guy's knee is already on the ground. Here it is, Alwyn is carrying the ball, but Alwyn's knee is touching the ground, and Kwagga is stealing the ball, and he should actually not steal the ball because Alwyn's knee is already on the ground. Now that's fine, and did it twice brilliantly. Now the most important one of the game, in the 83rd minute, or the last play of the game, the 80th minute, we inside their 22. If you remember, just prior to this, Damon Dalenda caught the ball. The guy didn't roll away, so that could have been a penalty already for us, and he didn't make that call there. And now exactly the same. Mario Itoje, now Reinhard Artset is carrying low. You can see their knees touching the ground. Now, both on all the other occasions before the 80th minute, he's penalised the player for not releasing the tackled player or ripping the ball while his knee is touching the ground. But unfortunately here, this one, he decides it's a good rip. It's a clear rip. It's how he does that and why he does that, I'm not 100% sure, because he was actually really good on the previous three, but obviously one of the most important ones in the 80th minute, he got wrong there. So yeah, that was really disappointing. Yeah, the next one is again, I'm going to point it out as the frustrating part, because our captain is clearly talking, and again, I want to reiterate, we said, can he please give our players the same respect, because the narrative the Lions are trying to put out there is that we don't know the laws, that we are just playing on power, we don't respect the laws of the game. And we asked him, and Sia sat in the meeting and said he will never talk to him if there wasn't something that was really bothering him here. Like Alwyn Jones was referring earlier to Cheslin Colby's knock-on, which then was a knock-on. But he didn't listen to Sia when Sia said Mapimpi was pulled back, which is foul play. Here you can clearly see they're going up for the ball. Henshaw is going up. He knocks the ball. He knocks the ball to Duan van der Merwe, who is in front of him. Now, they can't say that's a forward pass because he was in front of the ball carrier. They can't say technically that was a forward pass. That is a knock-on. A knock-on to a player in an offside position is a penalty. So that should not be a scrum for us there. That should be a penalty for us there.
Water off.
He's playing on.
Okay. Sorry guys, just took a while to get it through. No. It's just a knock-on, guys. It's a knock-on, that's right, mate. No. It's a red knock-on here.
A red knock-on, and the player is in front of him. And then Sia comes to him and said to him, it's a knock-on, and the player was in front of him. And it's almost like he's having a laugh at Sia, saying to him, yes, it was a knock-on, it's only a knock-on. So yes, Sia comes to him and says to him, yeah, he's actually laughing at Sia. No, yeah, it was just a knock-on, but the player was in front of him. So apart from if I have something totally wrong in the law book here, you can see Sia still there talking to him, but he's just ignoring him. The same with the TMO, and I guess that's where Warren Gatland in the media, and that's why we're a bit out in the media this week, because we feel we got no joy from anything, because we were quiet last week, and they were all over the media. We got no positive results on the fields. Yeah, this one, Nick came back to us and said to us, yeah, you will actually talk to Joe, you and Joel about this. He actually requested in the pre-match meeting that we don't, when a ruck has collapsed or it's a dead ruck, that we actually don't go and pull and tuck and make it messy at the ruck. He actually requested that. We actually told him it's part of our tactics, and he said, can we please change that? And so we went to our team and said, listen, yeah, we're not doing these tactics anymore. Then, in the game, they do exactly the same. Right in front of him, there Tyke Furlong hangs over, he pulls, and he makes it easier for Mario Toje. Now, he told us we'll get penalized if we do that. But then, exactly what he told us not to do, and we must change our mind, he then allows them to do. Another example you see at the next one, here you can see again Tyke Furlong. He's actually now jumping onto the ruck. He's actually collapsing a ruck, which is totally against the law. He's not even disrupting the base of the kicker. He's just jumping purely onto the ruck. Now, for somebody that told us, listen here, we must change our behavior because he's going to penalize us. Surely, in the position where he's standing there, he can see that Tyke Furlong is actually jumping onto the guy onto the ground. So, again, that's a frustration. If he told us this on Sunday night, we wouldn't be sitting here 12 o'clock on a Tuesday making a video of probably an hour if he just picked up the call and answered our questions on Sunday night and explained to us, and nothing would have been all over Twitter and all over the bloody media. Because again, they're exactly doing what he asked us not to do without getting penalized. It's a clear collapsing the ruck.
Possibility of a forward pass.
Yeah.
And then in front of the kicker.
Thanks, mate.
So a couple of things for Marius Jonker to check.
Yeah, this one I'm not even going to talk about. I mean, the way the pressure was put on Marius Jonker during the week by Warren Gatland, I think was uncalled for. I'm pretty sure this week Warren will say absolutely nothing about Marius Jonker. I'm sure he won't moan about Marius Jonker. He won't say a word. But last week it was all over the newspapers about Marius Jonker. But now, as I understand it, this call here was it's a try. The on-field decision is try. So there must be compelling evidence that it's a forward pass. Now, I've heard different versions. That some people say you can see it's forward, and some people say this angle it doesn't look forward, and some people say so. That means it's not compelling. It must be clear and obvious. And the on-the-field decision was a try. And then I heard Marius Jonker say, we think, and then he changed his mind to, we think he was. So there wasn't compelling evidence. So the frustration here is, it wasn't us who appointed Marius Jonker as the TMO. It was Warren Gatland who moaned about that. It was Marius Jonker with the team of three who made the call. And, are we now going to moan this week about Marius Jonker, or is he going to be there again? And was this a try? Wasn't it a try? According to what Nick said to me, it should have been much clearer and the communication should have been much better. So, I don't know. Is it World Rugby that made a mistake here, or Marius, or maybe Warren that did the right thing here? I'm not 100% sure. But obviously this try would have helped a lot in the game. This one is for me one of the most, people laugh at this one, but even at primary school level in South Africa, we get taught when a player lies on the ground, you leave him lying like that until the medics come up. We actually have a program called Box Smart, which we follow strictly, where we know when a player is down on the ground, you don't touch him, you actually leave him in that position. Now, for me, it's actually incredible that three things in a row happens here. The first thing is, without a doubt, I can show you three angles where Cheslin Colby was played in the air. So there was no penalty or referral for him being played in the air. That's the first part. Then the second part, he actually landed infield and then he was taken out. And then the third thing, Vunipola comes and just he pulls him up from the ground as if he's just a doll which he picks up. If that was a serious neck injury or back injury, I don't think he would have laughed and had these quirky quotes which you currently have in the newspapers and which is all over social media. So I think this shows a total lack of respect for the Springbok team, and I'll play this through and you can decide on, first of all, you can see Cheslin is inside. That's clear and obvious, and the guy definitely played in his actions. You can see he played his foot. You can see Cheslin is frustrated with that. The referee is seeing that, the touch judge seeing that, the medical seeing that. So is that okay? If any of the Lions players on Saturday is injured and lying on their back somewhere, can we just go and pull them up and say, get up, you're not injured? Is that the level of respect that is shown towards the Springboks? So if we show the same level of respect towards the Lions on Saturday. So 3 mistakes was made in a row here. If you look again at these things, as I say, played in the air, wasn't out in the full, and you can see how the players are talking to Nick and to Matthew, and they changed the call to give it the line out then inside our 22 or just outside our 22. Here is another simple example where we quickly want to throw in. It's the 68th minute, we're 2 points behind. We want to pick up the ball is out. Mario Itoje comes from nowhere and he throws the ball away. Everybody sees it. I mean, Faf wants to play the ball. It's our ball. Firstly, Ken Owens holds onto the ball. Normally, this is such a strict thing that gets policed. Connor is holding onto the ball carrier is holding onto the ball. Faf wants the ball. Now Connor takes it away. Owens holds it, and now Mario Itoje comes and he holds the ball while Faf wants to throw it in. And they grab Faf by the leg, and we all know it's our line out. So it's comical the way the respect the ARs and the guys show towards the South African players compared to the Lions players. But I guess we saw that coming, and we tried to tell the referees that, but unfortunately, that didn't look like that worked. Yeah, the next one is just so frustrating. They were telling us they're going really, really, really hard. A player's got 2 options in a line-out. He's either contesting, and then, but if he's not contesting and he's not jumping for the ball, then he can't touch a player or a supporter until he's landed on the ground. Now, if this isn't clear and obvious that they're touching the players, even it's not close to the ground. I mean, his pants is not even at Stephen Kitshoff's head's height. But Alwyn is in there, Sinclair is in there. Again, if this was something that they didn't that they did not highlight, I wouldn't even moan about it. But we clearly changed our way of stopping mauls and contesting because they said those were the things they're going to hammer on and going to be really strict on. Obviously, they didn't do that. But, I mean, that was one of the things I wanted to clarify on Sunday. But, Nick wasn't available then, so we couldn't really train that yesterday when we did our lineouts because we're not too sure what will they do this weekend. But I guess Ben will somewhere tell us this week. So this one is actually not funny. It's actually a difficult one to explain. That most of the things here that we've spoken about here, a lot of them is about player safety and the way World Rugby and the player welfare groups, and they have ex-players, Conrad Smith and Brian Abana, and there's high performance committees, and we all talk about player safety. But there was a spear tackle in this game. Nothing happened from that. There was a clean out from the side on the lower limbs, which we are really hard on. Now in this one, the flanker goes up and scrums, and our loose head, Oxenje, is actually out for the next week or 2 with a neck injury after this. I mean, it's clear and obvious that you can't allow a flanker to scrum onto a loose head who's in a compromised position and then lift him up, and that's where his neck got injured. So it's not like this is not in front of the referee. Look at the bind, and then and then they get the penalty. So apart from Ox being injured, their guy scrumming against our loose head, and then after that he's grabbing Siya Kolisi. Nick actually finds a way to give the penalty to the Lions, which is mind-baffling. I'm really not sure how to answer this one. And I guess this is probably one of the reasons why we made this video. I'm not sure where it's going to or where I am after this, and what will be the repercussions of this video or thing that we did. But if Matthew and Nick wants to tell me that this ball was thrown in straight, I mean, these were one of the queries which you asked him. Now, I don't know if I can play this slowly, but I know Eben touches the ball, that's without a doubt, but Eben touches the ball with the tip of his finger and he's leaning already, probably with his hand on the other side of Law's head. And Nick comes back and he says this throw was straight. I'll show you an interesting camera angle if you really want to see how skew this ball is, but I don't want to embarrass anybody. So, yeah, I think those are all the clips. And I know in some of the clips I might have sounded sarcastic. I apologize for that. I guess the frustration is just, I don't understand how at this level we're waiting for 12 years to play a match like this. The only thing we asked is, we only asked 3 things. We asked, don't let them depower us in scrums and mauls. Give us the same respect as these guys on the field. And then we asked them, what are the areas that they are concerned about? And it was actually on the rucks, it was the line-out contact. And then we just said, let's please not moan in the media and make this a hell of a positive tour. That was the only 3 things that was discussed with Joe, Joel, and Nick. And here we are. We're on a Tuesday morning. I just did an hour of 26 clips because Nick wasn't available, and they only do their review on a Monday. And we've got 1 training session after today. We haven't had any feedback, and it's a negative place to be at. And I think with me being here or not being here, I think we can do it much better. If you guys request that I'm not involved further with this test matches, no problem. If you request that I'm not a water carrier, no problem. I again urge you to go and look that there can be only one water carrier. So, it's your choice if you want to bring water on or not for the players. It doesn't say you have to have water. You can only be 2 water carriers. Only actually from this year there's a 3rd one. And there's nothing preventing anybody apart from the head coach, being the water carrier. But I mean, that's up for Warren to moan about. And then, if you think this was going over the top and this shouldn't go out to the media, then I did this in my personal capacity, not as part of the Springboks, and I'll withdraw myself from the Springbok management team. Thank you.